영상의 구성은 다음과 같습니다. 그럼 한번 시작해 볼까요?
But they don't really hit their stride until later in the day, at which point they comfortably coast past sunset. But they don't really hit their stride until later in the day, at which point they comfortably coast past sunset. But they don't really hit their stride until later in the day, at which point they comfortably coast past sunset. But they don't really hit their stride until later in the day, at which point they comfortably coast past sunset. So here's an excerpt, a portion of a longer sentence that was in the video that would help us to discuss and explain the expression hit their stride. So here's the whole sentence. But they don't really hit their stride until later in the day, at which point they comfortably coast past sunset, only heading to bed in the early hours of the morning.
Such a long sentence.
It is a long sentence, but the first half of it, I think there really gives the enough to explain and talk about the expression hit their stride.
Right.
Okay, so do you know what actually just a plain old stride is?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, it's not a very commonly used word,
Mhm.
but like if you're walking, for example, you know, and you go 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, that would be your stride going from one to the other. So like I'm kind of a short person, so I take little steps. So my husband says I have a very short stride.
I see.
Whereas someone who is taller, maybe, you know, because you're taller, your feet go further apart. And so you have a longer stride.
Okay.
And that does kind of relate to the expression hit their stride, right? So if you just kind of tuck that in the back of your mind,
Okay.
to hit one's stride means to begin doing something in a confident way. So perhaps after getting a slow start. So picture yourself going out on a walk and you know, maybe you're a little bit tired, so you kind of slow getting going, but after a while you feel like, okay, I'm really going now, and my stride is perhaps lengthening, so you have hit your stride. You're now humming along until the end of your walk, run, whatever it is.
Gotcha.
Does that kind of give you a visual for the expression hit their stride?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, so before we move on, how about reading the first sentence for me, please?
Yeah. But they don't really hit their stride until later in the day, at which point they comfortably coast past sunset.
Yep, good. Do you know what it means to coast?
Coast is like an ocean, right? Or
It is, but not here.
Oh, not here.
No. So
Ooh,
yeah, the coast would be the line where land meets water.
right.
But here it's coast being used as a verb. So they're just kind of humming along. Like if you think of yourself driving a car, for example, and you like push on the gas and the car gets going, and then you can kind of let off the gas, but the car still keeps moving forward. So the car is kind of coasting along, especially if you're coming down a hill, right? You can coast down a hill. So you know, to see coast and sunset so close together, I thought, ooh, that could be a point of possible confusion, because lots of times when I think of sunset, I think of, you know, the sun setting over the water.
I
But
see.
yeah, coast is different here. So,
Gotcha. Thank you.
okay. You are welcome. So here's another sentence to help with hit one stride. So she hit her stride near the end of the game. So if picture a game going on, I'm thinking more like a sports game, baseball, basketball, soccer, perhaps, then maybe the player has had a slow start. But then as it comes towards the end of the game, she's kind of got everything going perfectly and she's hit her stride.
Gotcha.
So doing well. Okay, please read that sentence.
Sure. She hit her stride near the end of the game.
Yep, perfect. Okay, well done. Some synonyms to get going. to achieve proficiency, like to get really good at something, and then to just be effective, right? I mean, because in something that we've talked about, and in my example, there's physical movement going on, but, you know, it could be that you're showing up at work and after your cup of coffee, now you feel like, okay, I'm going, I hit my stride. So no physical movement going on necessarily, just your mental readiness to perform.
Right. So, I think off the top of my head, I just...
Oh, that's a good expression, off the top of my head.
Off the top of my head, yes. There's a expression or phrasal, I don't know what, you know, which one is which, but kick in. Do you think that has like a similar meaning to like hit one stride or?
Yeah, I think it does, because what it would mean like is, you know, my energy finally kicked in.
Yes.
Got going. And so that would be very similar to hit their stride.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I know I've said it before, but I think, you know, as a learner of a new language, the more you can use phrases that are maybe called idioms. So the words don't mean exactly what you think they might mean, but they're just expressions in that language. I think just shows that you have a better command or understanding of the language than to use, like, for example, if I said, but they don't really achieve proficiency until later in the day, that just sounds so formal. It's more, you know, I want to use colloquial, which just means like informal, friendly. So,
yep.
I think it's worth learning these expressions, I guess, is my message.
It is for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And now, speaking of learning expressions, so what do you think about hit, you know, her stride, their stride, your stride, my stride? Can you make a sentence?
Sure. Probably everyone I mean, everyone, you know, who is watching this video knows our YouTube channel, Mile High English, right? So Mile High English YouTube channel just hit its stride after reaching 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Wow. So great sentence, and congratulations to Mile High English. That's quite an accomplishment.
Passed that the milestone probably a couple months ago. So right now we are at around 3,500.
Okay. Well, now we're going for 5,000.
Yes.
Okay. So
thank
upward and onward.
Thank you.